So this brings us to the end of today's proceedings, and I would now like to warmly welcome Sarah Davies, the chair of the ACNC Advisory Board, who is going to join us to make some closing remarks. So Sarah, welcome, and I will hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mel. And Mel, just before you disappear, thank you for your beautiful emceeing and conducting of today's session. Beautifully done and very nimble about filling in when perhaps little wrinkles happen. So classy. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
So I've got 10 minutes and I want to just do three things. I'm going to do a quick reminder of what we've heard today and just preface that by saying I think there was a kind of beautiful bookend to it. So we started with purpose and why, and then we went through a lot of process and how and what, and we ended with purpose and why, which clearly was not accidental, but I thought still rather beautiful. Then I'm just going to give a couple of my high-level thoughts and observations, and I've just got some wrap-up comments. So Sue started us off setting the scene. We know about the reality of living in charity land at the moment. In my day job, I'm the CEO of a national charity. Cost of living crisis, cost of insurance, changing volunteer patterns, greater demand for services, challenges about resource generation, and a sense of regulatory and actually also, I think, change overwhelm. And she reminded us about the why of the ACNC and why it's so important. So supporting transparency and good governance in charities, building trust and confidence in our community, enabling the infrastructure so that services can really reach those who need them, helping donors give well, sharing the information so we actually really understand the sector, and then mitigating risks, so the risk of precious dollars being misused or being diverted to non-appropriate or non-charitable causes. And then after Sue, we had the minister's message. I'm just going to say, all I'm going to say about that is I really like that he gave us a bit of a jivvy up to get this fundraising harmonisation over the line. We clearly got to keep our foot on the pedal with that to really get it done, and then we have got to work out what our next ask is of the minister for the kind of reform that we want, and I'm going to put my vote in for harmonisation of charitable definition. We then had the directors panel. It was really great to see the leadership team from the ACNC and welcome Michelle to the team. And we heard about how the teams are providing guidance and support to the sector, the online registration tool, the work on the Commissioner's interpretation statements, making data accessible and available, all the processing analysis work, DGR reviews, and determining the focus for the compliance and enforcement work, and some really lovely examples about some of the internal stuff about building team capacity, including IT and people. Then we had Alex and Ian on the Indigenous Governance panel, which I thought was really profound, and just a couple of takeouts for me. The message that ancestors, community, mob are first and individuals are next. The core values of First Nations people pulled into governance practices around that. And I think we heard from both Alex and Ian really clearly the broader value of diversity in general on boards. And happy birthday, Ian. We then heard about the new non-profit reporting. We've heard a lot about that from the SAIC panel, the ATO and the ACNC. And again, my editorialized comment on that may not be very welcome sounds like we've got a lot more dedicated Q&A sessions and communication and support to do there and to provide, and keep our feet to the pedal on making sure that's done really well. So a big change, lots has happened, but it sounds like we need to keep that up. We then ran around the country with the States and Territories panel, giving us an update on the range of regulatory changes. I don't know if you saw the questions, but the voting about the fundraising harmonisation, how we're going to actually nail that, get that done, got a lot of thumbs up. So that was terrific to hear, and some great commitments to how to work, continue to work in a connected and united way to harmonise a lot of that stuff. The cybersecurity panel, I think everybody on the panel summarised like why this is so important. And David, it was great to see you sharing some of the hows, and all the panel members circulated access to resources. I'm personally thrilled to see Carly in the position of the Privacy Commissioner. And, this is a space that we work in terms of our charitable purpose. But there is a sense that we are so playing catch up in terms of the process, the regulation, the risk mitigation, even just understanding what the issues and the risks are, where we're actually living in this space already. We are, our communities, our beneficiaries, our board members, our staff, we're all already there. So there is this kind of time gap, I think, in catch up, and critical to all of us. And then finally, I really enjoyed the fireside chat, Sue, without fire, with David Holsworth from the England and Wales Charities Commission. And a couple of sort of takeouts from that. Very similar to here, just how important charities are, the scale and shape and size of the sector, and just how extensive it is and how critical it is to kind of all aspects of our lives. And I loved, David, your comment around the sector needing more influence on really changing the shape and pace and nature of the reform that's needed in government and in kind of political policy and practice making. And love the point that the regulator is a law-based regulator, not a moral ideas regulator. And I will be honest, as an ACNC advisory board member, that is something I have to check myself in terms of my role on the advisory board versus my kind of day job in a charity, pushing and advocating for change that actually is principles-based and ethics-based and morals-based. So just a couple of kind of reflections about where this all came together for me. I think as a charities regulator, the dance between three things, between the critical nature of provisioning engagement, support and enabling for the sector, with the role of regulation and investigation and ensuring compliance, with this constant need for increased responsiveness and innovation. And like many of us, I think the ACNC plays those parts in kind of three broad arenas. There's the arena where it's kind of easy to play that part, where the ACNC actually has the freedom to think and freedom to act, to make their own decisions and to control their decisions and what those outcomes look like. But that's not the biggest arena that they play in. There's the arena where the ACNC is part of a multiplayer game. So influencing and responding dynamically, but the ACNC has a player spot in that arena. And then the third arena, where the ACNC actually has very little influence and doesn't have a formal or even sometimes an informal seat at the table. And how does it then influence that reform? So just my kind of final editorialized comments. We have to keep to the vision. Anne Robinson in the chat early on in the day, talked about the onerous and complex tax and regulatory environment. I added the word regulatory and just said tax. I put regulatory in. Reduce red tape, harmonise regulations and requirements, help build trust and confidence. We have to keep on keeping on. And as the CEO of a national charity, as I've said, that really resonates with me. I think it was really clear that an awful lot's been achieved. An awful lot is actually in play, and there's still very much still to do. So that's my kind of summary of the journey we've had this afternoon. So just some wrapping up comments. Please, would you complete a feedback form? It'll open up in Slido. Oh, it already has. There you go. It's already on. I don't know why I said there you go, because you can't see my other screen. But anyway, it's there. Please complete the feedback form. The event has been recorded, and attendees will be emailed a link once it's available. So it's there for reference. And finally, just some thank yous, really important. Thank you very much to the ACNC team who've put this together. Sue, under your leadership, but Anya and Isabel, who helped with all the administrative parts of it, Nicholas and Philip, who helped with the IT, the education and public affairs team for all the promotion and engagement and getting us here. Ruby, who's the policy manager, who's been awesome in kind of linking it all together. And of course, Sue, who's driven the event. Thanks to Marty Hankins, who's here to help. Hankins here to help. Brand, thank you for your team at virtual events. You must have great patience for pulling us all together. And finally, huge thanks and appreciation to all the participants. Thank you for coming, and particularly then the panelists and speakers. Thank you for sharing your IP, your time, your thoughts, your ideas, and your leadership. So that's it. I think I'm closing out the day. Have a good evening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.